So the police fears were unfounded, shock horror, but there was never really any fears. It was just propaganda to stop the pro-Palestinian marches happening across Sydney Harbour Bridge, the huge iconic spectacle of the Sydney Harbour Bridge, covered by people who oppose the genocide, who are pro-Palestinian rights, who don't want apartheid. That in itself was enough for a state institution, in this case the police, to pretend there was a risk or fears of a perilous situation. And what does perilous situation mean? Anything can be in your mind. But we're not going to go into that. The march happened and 300,000 people turned up, according to the organisers. According to the police, 100,000. Massive disparity. However, don't forget, in the anti-war movements, there was regularly 1 million man marches in London, in Paris, in New York, across the Western world. And what did the police do? They undermined those, or undercounted those marches as well. 20 years later, in common parlance, we all accept there was million man marches. So the police reduced the number, and the reason why they do that is because they are part of a machine that delegitimizes propaganda, particularly when it comes to, or delegitimizes the movement by propaganda, particularly when it comes to anti-war movements. But I want you to think about these numbers. 300,000 people turned up in central Sydney. The entire Greater Melbourne population is 5.5 million. That's 5%, just under 5%, or just over 5% of the population turned up on their Sunday to protest the war. If it's 5% were motivated to turn up, 5% of an entire city population travelled from all suburbs to come into central Sydney. What is the sentiment? And it shows you the difference between the position of the governed, these people, and the government, the police, and the institutions. There is a massive disparity. Overwhelming sentiment. Not just we feel bad about what's happening, but people are mobilising and moving and walking onto the streets, 5%. And if we use the police's number, that's still 2.5% of the population. So don't be disheartened. Carry on the movement, but hold your elected politicians and our civil servants to account. The police, you can complain to the police, you can complain to your politicians, you can complain to your own institutions and say we're not doing enough to represent our voices. But 300,000 people represented on Sunday, subhanAllah.